Okay, so if you own property in the Chicago area, or maybe you're a contractor gearing up for a new project, you might think you already know exactly what's involved in swapping out a sewer pipe. But today we're diving into the incredibly complex, often surprising, and highly regulated world of Chicago area sewer codes. We're taking the source material from Dr. Drain's comprehensive guide and breaking the whole shebang down so you can navigate this process with absolute confidence. Let's get into it. I want to start by challenging an assumption right out of the gate. Think sewer replacement is just plumbing? I mean, most people picture a broken pipe, a guy with a shovel, and a quick swap before lunch, right? But if you're a property owner or a contractor and you assume that's the whole story, well, you're setting yourself up for a massive administrative headache. We really need to focus on this not just the pipe motif that literally runs through the regulations of almost every single Chicago suburb. And this brilliantly illustrates the reality of the situation. The physical pipe itself is really just the tip of the regulatory iceberg. True code compliance demands that you account for how the work is designed with specific plans and specs, how the excavation is managed for safety and traffic, and exactly how the installation is tested and documented. The actual plumbing is just one piece of a much, much larger puzzle. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for conquering this process together. First, beyond just the pipe. Second, permits and city approvals. Third, materials, installation and testing. Fourth, excavation and site safety. Fifth, local sewer utility rules. And finally, your compliance action plan. Section 1, beyond just the pipe, understanding the layers. So to understand why this process is so involved, you really have to look at the layers of authority. In the Chicago area suburbs, your project is governed by three intersecting layers of governance. You've got your overarching state plumbing codes establishing the baseline. Then you have local municipal ordinances, which honestly can vary wildly depending on whether you're in Lake Forest, Arlington Heights, or anywhere in between. And finally, you have utility-specific requirements. These three layers dictate the entire scope of work, meaning a project in one village might have a completely different set of rules than a project just one town over, because, why make it easy, right? Moving on to Section 2, permits and city approvals, the bureaucratic groundwork. Now, before a shovel ever hits the dirt, you aren't just dealing with a single generic city office. Depending on the jurisdiction, you might need approvals from the local building department, the public works office, and the local sewer utility itself. And a really vital detail to remember here is that many jurisdictions absolutely do not expect the homeowner to figure this out alone. They expect licensed plumbing and sewer contractors to step in, manage these multifaceted approvals, and coordinate the required phased inspections. Now, what's really interesting about this is the right-of-way permit. It's a major hurdle that catches people completely off guard. This is a specialized approval that is often required completely distinctly from your standard building permits. It becomes necessary the moment your project's excavation impacts public sidewalks, driveways, or streets. Honestly, it delays so many projects because people just assume a basic plumbing permit covers everything. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. To even get those permits in the first place, you have to prove to the city that your design is sound. And that means mandatory plan submittals. You can't just promise you're going to do a good job. You have to show them exactly what materials and pipe sizes you're using. You have to provide the engineering details for bedding and backfill, which, by the way, ensures the pipe is supported properly in the trench, and precisely detail your connection points. It's really all about proving your competence on paper first. Section 3, materials, installation, and testing. We're getting right into the trenches. When it comes to the physical pipe, code-driven replacements heavily dictate your selections. Some areas might allow various materials, like PVC, but those materials must meet incredibly strict standards. You have to strictly adhere to both the manufacturer's guidelines and the specific local code provisions. The code is going to dictate your pipe material selection, the specific types of joints you use, and the precise slope and grade required for the water to flow correctly. But here's the kicker. Installing the pipe perfectly? That isn't enough. Jurisdictions require rigorous verification before that system is allowed to be returned to service. They want documented test results. This commonly includes precise measurement of the alignment and grade. It often involves pressure tests or infiltration tests to ensure surrounding groundwater isn't leaking into the new system. To put that into perspective, a single bad joint can let in thousands of gallons a year. And ultimately, it requires providing as-built documentation, which is basically a formal record showing exactly how the final installation was completed. Section 4, excavation and site safety, protecting the surroundings. Sewer work fundamentally involves making a really large hole in the ground, and well, that brings a whole host of site safety expectations. You're expected to adhere strictly to rules for shoring and trench safety to protect the workers. You need approved dewatering protocols if you happen to hit groundwater. You must actively protect surrounding structures and existing utilities. And crucially, if your digging impacts public areas, you're going to need comprehensive city-approved traffic control plans to keep the public safe.
And remember, making a mess means you're absolutely responsible for an approved cleanup. The city expects the site to be restored to strict standards. This touches on paving replacement limits, meaning exactly how much asphalt or concrete you actually have to replace, topsoil and landscaping requirements to fix the perkway, and firm timelines for when the backfill and surface recovery must be completed. You are literally on the clock to make the site look untouched.
Section 5. Local Sewer Utility Rules. Entering the public street. Look at this contrast. When you're working on private property plumbing, you're largely dealing with the building department. But the moment your project touches public system components, like the municipal main or a city manhole, the local sewer utility steps in. They impose extra technical requirements above and beyond the standard building code. They require specialized inspection coordination, and they often enforce strict timing restrictions so your work doesn't disrupt the broader neighborhood service. Because these utilities operate with their own unique rulebooks and standard details, proactive communication is your absolute best friend here. The smartest thing a contractor can do is confirm the specific requirements early with the utilities engineering or permitting staff. Doing this avoids incredibly costly rework. I mean, imagine getting the whole system installed only to find out the utility wanted a different connection method or a specific manhole adjustment, forcing you to dig it all up again. Confirm early, build once. That's the motto. Finally, Section 6. Your compliance action plan, next steps. So the crucial point is, you really don't have to be overwhelmed if you follow a practical, step-by-step checklist to ensure total compliance. Step 1, verify your specific suburbs permit process right at the start. Step 2, confirm early on if you need those tricky right-of-way permissions and get your plan reviews moving. Step 3, and this is a big one, always schedule your inspections before covering up any of your work with dirt. And Step 4, proactively ask the local sewer utility for their specific connection and testing requirements. Which leaves us with one final provocative question. Are you ready to dig into your local codes? Armed with this explainer, you now understand the true scope of sewer line replacement in the Chicago suburbs. Remember, while this guide outlines the broad strokes, you should always consult licensed local professionals and inspectors for the exact current ordinances in your specific municipality. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Now get out there and start your project the right way.